Russia is officially at war. Over the weekend, 4 gunmen in camo entered one of the main concert halls in Moscow during a concert with thousands in attendance and subsequently began gunning down hundreds and then set off explosives that burned the building to the ground. As of the making of this video, the death toll has risen upwards of 137, with hundreds more injured. It was, without question, a shockingly horrifying terrorist act. All 4 of the alleged perpetrators have all been captured by authorities. The 4 men are all purportedly from Tajikistan, and they've been paraded before cameras for all the world to see basically how Russia deals with terrorists. They've clearly been tortured, and they obviously, their fate has been predetermined. An emotional President Putin was filmed lighting a candle and offering prayers in an Orthodox chapel on behalf of the victims of the terrorist attack, and he has vowed to the nation that there will be swift and decisive retribution against the perpetrators of this horror. And that is where Ukraine comes in.
We will be investigating this terrorist attack, and we already have some results. All the 4 perpetrators were directly involved, who were gunning people down, killing people. They were found and apprehended. They tried to escape. They were moving towards the border with Ukraine. And we have data that suggests that they were about to be moved towards the territory of Ukraine by those in Ukraine. Our military services, our emergency services, our investigators are working on finding out the orchestrators of this terrorist attack, those who gave them transportation, who gave them weapons, etc.
So you don't have to be a genius to translate that. Putin is already blaming Ukraine for the attack. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has announced that for the first time, Russia is officially declaring war on Ukraine in response to what they believe to be Ukraine's support and perhaps even orchestration of the attack. Peskov said explicitly, quote, "Russia cannot allow the existence on its borders of a state that has a documented intention to use any methods to take Crimea away from it, not to mention the territory of new regions." Again, the translation there is that Russia is going to respond with the intention of utterly crippling Ukraine, or perhaps more accurately, what's left of Ukraine. Now, this threat comes as France and Poland have announced that they are sending or intending to send several thousand troops to Ukraine to help with the fight, which, of course, Russia sees as a de facto NATO force inside Ukraine. Now, just to be clear, the sending of those forces is voluntary on the part of France and Poland and would not trigger Article 5 of NATO, which states that an attack on one member nation is an attack on all. But it does indicate an escalation for sure. NATO nations like France and Poland, by default the United States, are doubling down on this Ukraine insanity that has, as Tucker Carlson and others have repeatedly pointed out, it has no possibility whatsoever of ending in Ukraine's favor. None. And that's especially the case following this horrific attack on Moscow. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what we can expect to come from all of this. But first, gang, have you always wanted to explore historical cities with a group of courageous patriots? Well, now is your chance to embark on an exclusive adventure with me, Dr. Steve, and other patriots like you as we set sail on the Mediterranean. You're invited to join us this August on Royal Caribbean's luxury liner, the Voyager of the Seas. You get to spend time with me and other like-minded patriots during live onboard classes as we dive into topics like the rising parallel economy, the culture wars, and how you can share my optimism in a conservative renewal. We'll discover enchanting architecture, timeless artistry, and breathtaking experiences as we adventure through Spain, France, and Italy. Enjoy incredible dining experiences, enriching education, and once-in-a-lifetime attractions each day of our journey. It'll be a summer you'll never forget. Join me and your fellow patriots August 5th to 12th, 2024 for this unparalleled adventure. If you want more information and want to take part in our last-minute pricing sale, my team is waiting to talk to you right now. There are only a handful of cabins left, So don't wait. Click on that link below or go to cruiseinfo.turleytalks.com to learn more. This is going to be absolutely an unforgettable trip, and I can't wait to spend it with you. Click on that link below right now. Now, as far as the plausibility of blaming Ukraine in this, we do have to remember, as far as the Russian population is concerned, this would not be the first time Ukrainian influence is engaged in terrorist attacks on Russian soil. You all may remember the horrible killing of Darya Dugina, the daughter of Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin, in a car explosion back in August of 2022. Even U.S. officials admitted that Ukrainians were behind that attack. So the Russian population, frankly, needs no convincing. Again, for right or for wrong, they need no convincing that this latest attack was indeed orchestrated, ultimately, at least, by the Ukrainians. And so what that means, as geopolitical analyst Pepe Escobar points out, is that as far as Russian officials are concerned, the real war starts now. I mean, remember, up to this point, Putin has been very reserved in this military operation. That's technically what it's been termed, a special military operation. Russian forces, in many respects, have been fighting with one hand tied behind their backs. This has been really the only way to keep China and India and Turkey on their side. But now all bets are off. This is why U.S. officials are claiming that the concert attack was actually a false flag orchestrated by Russian officials to justify transforming the SMO into a total war against Ukraine. But obviously those accusations fall radically short on the Russian population. And that's vitally important for us to understand here. The cat's out of the bag. There's no putting it back here. Russian forces are going to launch a full-scale war on Ukraine as a result of this. All the accusations from the State Department aren't going to change that. They just fall on deaf ears. That's not how war works. This is why it was so essential for at least some kind of peace agreement to have been formalized before this SMO got started in the first place. And a number of pundits, scholars, John Mearsheimer at the University of Chicago, Jeffrey Sachs of Columbia University, they've all pointed out that had Western powers simply fulfilled what's called the Minsk Agreement, which Russia helped broker in order to bring about peace within Ukraine between the Donbass separatists in Donetsk and Lugansk and the regime in Kiev, all of this would never have happened in the first place. And then, of course, shortly after Russia launched their SMO, their special military operation, there was a peace deal on the table that would have secured NATO neutrality in the part of Ukraine, which Zelensky reportedly was absolutely willing to agree to. And Boris Johnson personally traveled to Ukraine to thwart that deal. So here we are, all these months and millions, well, literally billions of dollars of taxpayer funds later, here we are, and Russia's now poised to crush Ukraine like never before. And on top of it, we're closer to a full-blown war between Russia and NATO forces from France and Poland than we've ever been. And make no mistake, they're not going to back down from this. They see this conflict as absolutely existential. Again, a number of scholars from Mearsheimer to George Kennan of Harvard University, who's the author of containment theory, right, during the Soviet period, during the Cold War. A number of others, even the recently deceased Henry Kissinger, they have all recognized for over a decade that NATO's incessant and stubborn eastward expansion would indeed erupt into a full-blown conflict with Russia based on the dynamics of great power politics. In a manner comparable to the way the United States pushed back against the Soviet attempt to arm Cuba in our hegemonic region, so too a renewed hegemonic Russian Federation was going to push back against NATO's attempts at putting arms along their borders. And the fact that France and Poland have announced that they're now sending troops into the region only confirms those concerns. And so obviously we'll be keeping a very close eye on how things develop here. But to me, there's no question. In many respects, the war in Ukraine, I'm sad to say, is only just beginning.